Because what happens for us is that if you come out with another project and it doesn't work well, people remember it not being successful than the success you had. So a lot of times what I try to do is find a way to say, if there's a natural follow-up to this, explore it, build it, and let's go for it. But if it's something...
Marvel Comics broke records for market dollar share in August. While they didn't have the debuts of Absolute Carnage and Marvel Comics 1000 to lean on and keep breaking records in September, Marvel continued dominating the market with the debut of JJ Abrams Spider-Man and the staying power from Jonathan Hickman's X-Men reboot and Donny Cates' Absolute Carnage event. Meanwhile, DC Comics' You're the Villain isn't the hit they desperately need, although DC did get a nice boost from Black Label's Harleen. The big news is the enormous moneymaker that was Todd McFarlane Spawn 300, which led the market in units shipped and dollars sold in September. In this video, I'm going to cover a report on strategic market trends and give my analysis first. Then I'm going to dig into September's comic sales numbers and finer details. I'm then going to provide Comic-Con's September comic sales summary before I look into sales trends for Marvel Comics' X-Men reboot and DC Comics' You're the Villain event. Before I get started, I wanted to give an update on Thinking Critical's Ko-fi page. We are now just over 20% towards our $240 funding goal for January's audio and video editing software fees. If you would like to support the channel and help us keep the content flowing, all you need is a PayPal account to make a contribution to Thinking Critical's Ko-fi page. You can make a one-time gift to the channel or set up monthly contributions on our Ko-fi page. Supporters receive bonus content, early access to some channel content, and exclusive access via our Discord server, which we're rolling out very shortly. A link to our Ko-fi page is in the video description. If you have any questions about supporting the channel or the bonus content, feel free to DM me on Twitter or send me an email at wesdiggscomics@gmail.com. Now that that's out of the way, let's take a gander at September's comic book and graphic novel sales. Newsarama reports Marvel remained the top publisher in September, accounting for 38.81% of dollars and 45.51% of units shipped. DC was second, of course, with a market share of 27.8% of dollars and 29.15% of units, respectively. Image ranked third, breaking over 10% dollar market share threshold due to Spawn with 11.01% dollar share and an 8.32% unit share. Year-to-date, 2019 now stands at plus 0.25% in dollars over 2018 versus a deficit of 3.79% in units. ICV2.com added, the month was a good one for comic stores, with comics and graphic novel sales to comic stores by Diamond up 4.09% versus a year ago period. That was all in floppies, which were up 10.87%, while graphic novels continued their long slide with an 11.54% decline. Year-to-date, numbers are now positive, up 0.25% for the first 9 months of 2018. Comics are up 2.05% for the first 3 quarters, and graphic novels are down 4.26%. I know some people aren't going to like this, but the narrative that Marvel Comics sales are dying is fake news. In fact, Marvel is basically single-handedly responsible for the very slight dollar sales increase for the entire market. Overall units shipped were up 5% and dollars up 11% in September, despite the total market releasing 7% fewer titles versus a year ago. Marvel released the exact same number of new comics as last year. In fact, Marvel Comics dollar sales are up 7% compared to 2018, accounting for all of the industry growth in 2019. Marvel Comics is currently riding a wave of momentum from Jonathan Hickman's X-Men reboot and Donny Cates' Absolute Carnage event. They also have several reliable ongoing titles led by Amazing Spider-Man and Immortal Hulk. Things should only get better as Hickman's Dawn of X rolls out, along with the upcoming Spider-Man event 2099 and Marvel Cosmic Universe event Annihilation Scourge. DC Comics sales, on the other hand, are shrinking. A lot of this can be accounted for by austerity measures in early 2019 that DC seems to abandon late in the year. It appears to actually ship more new comics this September compared to 2018, but that's due to 11 new comics being offered with cardstock covers. Despite DC's dollar sales holding steady in September 2019 versus 2018, their overall sales are down 6% year to date. DC hasn't seen the sales boom they expected from Year of the Villain, led by the countless tie-ins, Batman, Superman, and Doom War and Justice League. It's too bad this event is leading directly into next year's Crisis event and subsequently into DC's 5G initiative. There's no momentum moving towards the next Crisis. DC is also putting a lot of eggs in the Black Label basket moving forward, but they don't appear to be very selective about what Black Label is anymore. It's leading to a ton of brand confusion among readers and retailers. I can't see anyone seeing much special about Black Label heading into next year. Things are likely to get much uglier for Marvel's historic rival through 2020. Newsarama also reports over 27 years after publishing its first issue, Todd McFarlane's Image Comics launching Spawn released its 300th issue in September, a Guinness World Record holder for the longest-running creator-owned superhero comic book series. The milestone was enough to boost the series to the best-selling comic book in the direct market, according to figures released by Diamond Comic Distributors Friday morning. Despite losing the top spot to Spawn 300, Marvel Comics dominated the top 10 for units sold, accounting for the next 6 best-selling titles, including JJ Abrams and Sarah Pichelli's Spider-Man No. 1 and No. 2, and the 4th and 5th issues of Jonathan Hickman's House of X and Powers of 10. Similar to last month, the 5th issue of each series ranked higher than the 4th, respectively, which is an interesting dynamic for the high-profile Hickman relaunch to keep an eye on moving forward. DC had 3 titles to round up the top 10, including Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's Doomsday Clock No. 11 at No. 7, and it stands to reason that the series' consistent shipping delays could have negatively impacted sales of later issues. DC dominated the graphic novel units chart with 6 titles, including the hardcover collection of Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo's Batman Damn, which topped both the units and dollar charts. Marvel Comics followed up their historic August with another dominating performance in September, led by JJ Abrams' successful Spider-Man miniseries debut, Jonathan Hickman's House of X and Powers of 10, and Donny Cates' Absolute Carnage. Marvel placed 6 comics in the overall top 10 by dollars sold and units shipped. Marvel continues setting a pace rival DC won't catch anytime soon. Amazing Spider-Man remains Marvel's best-selling ongoing series for one final month. X-Men should lead Marvel's ongoing sales into the foreseeable future. Immortal Hulk sales dipped under Fantastic Four this month. The series appears to be losing some momentum heading into the hype 25th issue. Led by JJ Abrams Spider-Man, Marvel released a hefty slate of 20 number 1 issues in total. Teenie Howard's Strike Force appears to have made an impact, shipping 65,000 units, but upon closer inspection, the title benefited from a 50% overship. Jason Aaron's King Thor shipped a robust 55,000 units, all of which appear to be legit. Of course, none of this factors in variant cover and party variant ordering schemes, predatory ordering practices Marvel Comics are notorious for. Both Absolute Carnage debuts, Symbiote Spider-Man and Symbiote of Vengeance, shipped over 40,000 issues with no funny business. Black Panther and the Agents of Wakanda received a massive 100% overship, padding sales numbers. Other comic shipping far more issues than shops paid for are Agents of Atlas No. 2, Valkyrie Jane Foster No. 3, Invisible Woman No. 3, and Spider-Man Velocity No. 2. DC Comics once again placed 3 titles in the top 10 by units shipped and dollars sold. A far cry from just a few months ago when DC dominated the top 10. Doomsday Clock continues to be the biggest wasted opportunity in comics in 2019. DC readers still won't put it down, despite knowing it means nothing in terms of the future DC continuity and storytelling. Jeff Johns paved the way for future success. Dan Didio and Jim Lee are taking the publisher in the absolute wrong direction. The first of what I presume are many DC spin-offs, A Good Day to Die, continues being a bright spot for the publisher. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy would have made the top 10 unit ship list if it didn't offer 2 versions of the comic for different prices. The Jody Houser-led debut shipped 110,000 units in total. Black Label's Harleen made a huge impact, shipping 85,000 issues at $8. DC Comics dropped 10 new number 1s in September, up from 4 last month, a trend you will see through the end of 2019. Brian Michael Bendis' Legion of Superheroes Millennium No. 1, the worst comic of 2019 until just this week, shipped just under 50,000 issues. While Scott Lobdell's attempt to save Wally West from Tom King's character assassination, Flash Forward, debuted with 46,000 units shipped. Speaking of Tom King, City of Bane seems to have stabilized Batman sales. Both issues 78 and 79 moved over 80,000 issues. Sean Gordon Murphy's Curse of the White Knight sales are down noticeably from his previous Batman White Knight series. Batman continues doing the heavy lifting. 7 of DC's top 10 comics sold are led by the Dark Knight himself. Now, let's talk about the massive success that was Todd McFarlane's Spawn 300. The milestone comic included guest creators Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, and J. Scott Campbell, and a slew of the coolest covers of the year. Spawn 300 shipped over 250,000 comics, an overwhelmingly massive success, especially considering the $8 cover price. And this isn't the end. The record-breaking Spawn 301 released just this month. It'll be interesting to see if the Toddfather can keep Spawn sales over 50,000 at issue 302. Until Saga returns, Spawn will be doing the heavy lifting for Image Comics. The other indie comic that made an impact was Brett Booth's Valiant Comics debut on Bloodshot #1. Bloodshot sold an impressive 41,000 comics ahead of venerable superheroes Green Lantern and Flash and most of the Absolute Carnage tie-ins. Great news for Valiant as Sony starts promoting their upcoming Vin Diesel-led Bloodshot film. Despite a hefty $30 cover price, Black Label's Batman Damned hardcover led all graphic novels in sales. I think DC's going to seriously regret diluting Black Label moving forward. Next, let's see what insight Comic-Con analyst John Jackson Miller provides regarding September's comic book sales. In September, Spawn matched the issue count of Cerebrus, and while creator Todd McFarlane did not write and draw every issue of his title, as Dave Sims did with the latter, Spawn 300, or more specifically the next issue, earned the title a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records under longest-running creator-owned superhero comic book. It also gave publisher Image its best monthly showing of 2019 and helped produce a direct market month that was up 4% year over year, according to data released today by Diamond Comic Distributors. Year to date, comic orders stand at 61.6 million comic books, down about 2 million copies or 3% from the first 9 months of 2018. Dollar sales are up 2%. Graphic novels continue to underperform relative to periodicals, down 20% in units and 12% in dollars against what was a strong month for them in 2018. That month had new Saga and Walking Dead edition, which sold in the 5 figures. This month's top seller, Batman Damned, was a $29.99 hardcover, and those help more on dollars than they do for units. Publishers sent 369 new graphic novels to market, an increase of 2%. It's immediately noticeable that Guts, Renee Telgemeyer's September debuting graphic novel, does not appear in the top 10 at all, despite selling more than 76,000 copies in its debut week through Bookscan reporting stores. The books in the line definitely do significant business in comic shops, but retailers tend to order Scholastic titles outside Diamond. Now it's time to talk about a couple of trends of note. Year the Villain has been chugging along for a few months now, seeming to tie into every single ongoing DC Comics title. There's been no sales increase to speak of due to DC's line-wide event. Last month, DC debuted their first ongoing title related to the event. Batman Superman #1 shipped an impressive 156,000 issues. I said at the time, I didn't see the series topping 80,000 by issue 3. I was giving the title too much credit. Batman Superman #2 already dipped to 62,000 comics sold to retailers. Decent numbers for an ongoing, but nothing you would expect from a title led by their 2 flagship characters and directly related to their huge event. DC also began shipping Year the Villain one-shots last month. DC hasn't put many, if any, top-shelf talents on the books. That, and a lack of enthusiasm for Year the Villain, left all 4 one-shots shipping between 26 and 27,000 comics. Dreadful numbers. Although I do believe the Tales from the Dark Multiverse one-shots, very loosely related to the event, will sell much better. More indications Year the Villain is a huge dud with readers. Meanwhile, at Marvel Comics, things couldn't be more different. Jonathan Hickman's House of X and Powers of 10 both debuted with great sales. Word of mouth for both series were fantastic, leading to a huge increase from issues 2 to 5 for both series. House of X #2 shipped 102,000 issues and was up to 139,000 by issue 5. Powers of 10 #2 sold 100,000 comics to retailers, and that number increased to 137,000 by issue 5. I can't overstate how massive these increases are. We just don't see this in today's market. Even Sean Gordon Murphy's Batman the White Knight didn't experience this kind of upward trajectory. Hickman sounded very confident when House of X was about to debut, but there's no way he or anyone at Marvel saw this kind of enthusiasm building. I'll be surprised if X-Men #1 doesn't ship well over 200,000 copies next month. I'm not sure what to expect from the 5 other Dawn of X titles, but I do expect most of them to ship over 100,000 for their first issues. Although I will say I think Marvel are going a bit too hard and fast with Dawn of X. It appears we'll have 9 ongoing X-Men titles in February 2020. Far too many in my opinion, but as always, the market will decide. That wraps up my analysis of September's comic industry sales. Marvel had another fantastic sales month led by JJ Abrams Spider-Man, Jonathan Hickman's X-Men reboot, and Absolute Carnage. DC continues relying heavily on Batman. They need another character to hit soon, and it won't be Superman as long as Bendis is on the title. I think leaking their 5G plans is a terrible idea. Many readers aren't going to continue investing in ongoing titles they know are getting rebooted shortly. Todd McFarlane Spawn 300 was a huge boost for Image Comics, and boy do they need it. Saga still hasn't returned from a hiatus, and they're still waiting for their next breakout hit. My money is now on Scott Snyder and Charles Soule's Undiscovered Country. I don't see DC challenging Marvel Comics anytime soon. Like, not in 2020 at all. Most readers I talk to aren't happy a crisis is spinning out of Year of the Villain or the 5G initiative that's following it. The comics market is Marvel's to rule for the foreseeable future. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.